Hi, Melissa Blundon, North Madison Congregational Church, Tuesdays in the Garden here. So today, we're going to work in Polly's garden. That's a garden that I built in memory of my grandmother. And I think that wooden cross, you see that there? That's cool. I have a cool story about that. That actually was found by one of my co-workers in a mulch pile. And it was just so cool. It's like, wow, God turns up everywhere, so I gave it a home right there. And it's been there ever since, probably about 5 years now. So anyway, this is Polly's garden, my Buddha baby. And I showed this garden to you guys a bit later, way back in June. And it was right after I had a spring cleanup done. And it was beautiful that day. And as you can see, it has had no attention since. But that's okay, because it's kind of a garden that functions on automatic pilot. And it's good. I like it. It's a peaceful place for me. And doesn't need to be perfect. And I got this bench here. I often sit at it. And I have a beautiful view out there, so it's a really peaceful spot for me. But last week I dug out those black-eyed Susans. The Rudbeckia is the Latin name for that, scientific name. So sometimes you might hear me say Rudbeckia, the common name black-eyed Susans. So it's both the same plant. But we're going to work on getting those in the ground. And here we are. Oh, hi, Cinnamon. Oh, Cinnamon's a sweetheart. He's saying hello. Hello, Cinny. Got my tools ready to go here. And as you can see, we had a windstorm not too long ago, but I have not even been out here since. And that's did in my pot there, so that's okay. It gives me an opportunity to get new pots next year. Anyway, I'm going to be bringing the pots in, as I mentioned in last week's video, and I'm going to I'll do a little tidying. But also, as I mentioned in last week's Tuesdays in the Garden, I had said that when you're deciding what to cut back in the fall, some people like to wait until the spring to cut it back. I like to do most of it in the fall. But I do leave some stuff up for winter interest, especially stuff that catches the ice, and the snow. It looks so beautiful. But it really, truly is in the eyes of the beholder. What looks good to me might not look good to you. So just always keep that in mind when you're gardening. If it looks good to you, that's what matters. So up here, these Annabelle Hydrangea arborensis Annabelle, that variety, 1, 2. And those are established ones that I've had for several years. But what happened was I had endless summer hydrangeas in here, and they just didn't do that well. I'll have to ask Sue Kenny why. Might have been not enough sun, but they just paled in relation to the Annabelles. And the Annabelles really do well here, and they have such a long season of interest. It's one of my favorite plants. It's also native. So what I did was I took out the endless summers, and I found a new home for them over there, where I think they'll be happy. And I put 2 more Annabelles. So next year what I'll do is I'll cut the established ones, the existing ones. I'll cut them down to size to kind of match these, so that there's kind of a matching row more. So they bloom on new wood, so you can cut them anytime. So that's what I'll be looking forward to. And then I'm going to find some spots for the black-eyed Susans. This is one I'm going to do something there. And then I have to find another spot. So I'm going to do two groups of 3. I had in the spring over here, I took a few and I popped them in there right here. And they did really, really well. So I said, I need more of those in this garden. They're nice and bright yellow, and from a distance, which is where this garden is usually viewed, they really are a pop of color. But I'll have to find a new spot for. I've got that bunch. I've got a bunch down there I'm going to put in, and then I have to figure out where the third bunch is going to go, which often happens in gardening and other things in life. One thing leads to another. So I'm looking at this spot, which is kind of in the middle, but I'm going to have to shift a few things around to make that work. And so that's what I'll do. But I'll get going, and I'll check in with you guys later, and I'll see how we make out. Okay. Thing I wanted to mention, see, I've got one planter empty so far, but you can see here, I took this silvery plant out. It's a type of Artemisia. I don't know exactly the variety, and so I don't know if it's hardy or not. But I am going to pop that in the ground because I love the silvery foliage, and it's really bright from far away. Again, so I'm going to pop that one out too, and I'm going to find a spot in this garden. When I redid my planters out front for fall, I popped these guys out. Some kind of Dusty Miller Artemisia. It's in that family too. I popped those out, and those went over pretty well, So we'll see. They're considered an annual, I think, but they usually come back for me. So I'm going to try that with these, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. So as I said, I have to do a little rearranging to make room for the black-eyed Susan. And what I did was I had a daylily here. I popped it out. I'm going to put it in that empty spot. And what I really want to show you right now is this. I'm digging up here, and look how awesome. I mean, I don't know if you can see, but it's just naturally breaking up into about 3 nice pieces, maybe 2, okay, 2, that I can replant. And this is one of my favorite plants, so I am glad that I have enough to split off now. This is called penstemon, and the reason I adore it in the first place was because it's called Rachel's Dance, and I have a daughter named Rachel. And so when I saw it in the garden center, and I have never seen it since, but I saw it and I fell in love with its name, so I planted it, and I gotta tell you, it is a terrific plant. If you ever see it, penstemon, Rachel's Dance. It's similar. Well, penstemon Husker's Red. That's a great plant. Perennial was plant of the year back in the 90s, I think. But this one is way better than that one even. It has a white kind of foxglovey looking flower, but more delicate. And it just stands up so well. The flower, you can let it, you don't have to deadhead it. The seed pods look interesting. I did end up deadheading this one for some reason, just because I felt like it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, however the mood strikes me. But you can see how it also has some nice autumn color to it. So I have another one down here, and there it is. And so I'll be having a third one. So gotta find a spot for that now. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that as I'm going along the project here. Okay, all set. Here we are. Okay, so what I did today was I moved around quite a bit of things, all in an effort to put in those black-eyed Susans, but they're going to be awesome. And it's going to be so worth the effort. Um, it's funny, it's like when you give a mouse a cookie, you know what happens. It's like, that way with plants too. Sometimes, one thing leads to another. So I ended up moving quite a few things. I got those artemisias in there is one. I had to move some daylilies around. I got my penstemon, as I mentioned before. I got that split up, so now I have 3 of those. I love them. There's the rudbeckias there, black-eyed Susans. I had to flip-flop my little Dusty Miller. So, Artemisia, Dusty Miller. I found over here, buried in the salmon seal, because that's what happens. As I said, I don't tend this garden often. The last time I got a really good tend where I dug things up and split things up was back in 2013 when my daughter was married in this garden. My daughter Meredith. It's beautiful that year. I blew off the pathway here so you could see. I cleaned up a lot of stuff. I cleaned up the peonies. I cleaned up the iris. I deadheaded some phlox. I moved some more things around. The chelone. What else? I have a lot of little echinacea seedlings throughout the garden, so I consolidated them. They're all right in here, so they'll be in back of this nice artemisia. If I hope it's going to be hardy, I hope it makes it. There's a little teeny sedum there. It's just a baby, but I moved them. I had to move around. I had a lot of iris, and it was good that I had to move them because they were really in need of being moved. Usually you move iris earlier in the summer, but you got to do things when you can. So I did. And what else? There's that other penstemon, the other group of black-eyed Susans. I deadheaded my Veronica strom on either side of my bench there. So I did some chores to kind of tidy up. I did get the pots emptied, but I don't have them put away yet. I just turned them over, and we'll put that on the list. There's always a list. I put my favorite sprinkler away. So there's the garden. It looks better. As I said, it's not done. I'll wait on the anemones a little bit. And the echinaceas are still up for the birds. There's a chocolate eupatorium, we call that, the white thing, in bloom right now. I will deadhead that soon as it starts to turn brown, the flowers, because that sows and it gets a little bit unmanageable. So I manage that by deadheading it. I don't let it go over the winter. So that's it for today. And before winter really sets in, I'll get back in here and do some more. But for now, we're done. And I think I'll just sit on my little bench here for a minute as I conclude today's Tuesdays in the Garden. This morning, Pastor Heather's sermon talked a little bit about the importance of rest and even preparing a space that calls you to rest. And so this is one of my restful spaces, and I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, it's not a perfect garden, but it's my garden and it's a restful place for me. And I spend time out here and I just forget about any kind of worries and just, I'm closer to God here, and it feels really good. So I encourage you to create a space, whether it's in a garden or anywhere, but just create a space where you can rest. It can be your bedroom, it can be, a room in your house, a corner in your house, somewhere in your yard, anywhere to just have a restful spot. So on that note, I will say goodbye for today, and I wish you all a great week and happy gardening. Bye-bye.